Okay, the first thing I want to make sure it's known, all my magnets, the blue sides are south and the reds are north, if you see that. Blue is south, red is north. And I'll show you in a little bit that like these magnets came out of a 1997 Ford pickup. That's the speakers, they're speaker magnets out of a 97 Ford pickup. This magnet was bought in 2017, 20 years later. And the red is north and blue is south. Right now I'm just showing you that they're all, the blues are south, the reds are north. Pardon the noise, there's a storm going on outside. And this magnet, the red is north and the blue is south. So that's all I really wanted to show with this section, is that all the blues are south and all the reds are north. And we'll move on. I've done this before, but I'm going to use these stacked speaker magnets. There's 4 of them. The blues are south and reds are north, like I showed you. But if you notice, watch this box on the screen of this TV. It's a CRT TV. It's not LCD. It's the old tube type, CRT. When I take the blue side towards it, see how it spins towards me on top, to your left on top. The blue side, south side of the magnet, rotates it this way, towards us on top. And it went off because the magnetic field does that. Let it come back on. Towards us on top with the blue, and away from us on top with the red. And I showed this in another video. It's the rotation of the magnet is one rotation. It just depends on which end you're looking at. It's rotating this way, but when I turn it, it's rotating that way because I've turned it around. So it's actually going like this, over the top towards you, and if I turn it around, over the top away from you. My point is, these are 1997 a Ford pickup 1997 speaker magnets made back in that day. This magnet was made in 2015 probably. But if I put the blue of it towards the screen, it still rotates this way on top. If you see that, I guess you can see it. And if I put the red towards it, it rotates the other way. They both rotate the same direction. And I have another magnet. Let me turn this back on. The magnets seem to make it go off. It's magnetized this way, if you can see that, side to side. If I put the south side of this towards it, it still rotates to your left on top. And if I put the red side, it rotates to the right on top. Same thing. My point is, all magnets I've ever had, that I've found, and the ones I have now, they all rotate the same direction. The south rotates that way, the north rotates that way. So I don't know, if you find a magnet with a pole finder and know which pole's north and south, and take it to a TV and get reverse of this, where the south goes that way, and when you put the north to the screen, it goes this way, let me know. I've never found any magnet that does the opposite of what I've just showed you. Okay, I've showed this in another video, but I want to use it to show you again. The blue sides of this wheel, or the blue arrows, are the south side of the magnet rotating. The red sides are the north. So it's the same thing this magnet's doing. Actually, from all I've found, every magnet I've had, it's rotating in that direction. But if I turn the magnet around like this, it's rotating in that direction. But if you look at it from the edge, it's rotating away from us on top this way. And if I turn it the other way, it's rotating towards us on top. Okay? It just depends on which end of the magnet you're looking at. If you look at the south end, it rotates that way. If you look at the north end, it rotates that way. But it's all one rotation as far as the magnet is concerned. And what I want to show with that is this next section. I'm going to show that again to prove it. But a magnet, it doesn't just quit rotating in a distance. It just fades out into gravity. Gravity fades in to rotate faster and faster as it gets to it on the blue side, and it fades out slower and slower as it gets away from it on the red side. That's why you have a magnetic field. It can only be detected from so far away on either side. But around the magnet, it's weaker in the middle because these two forces counteract each other. They cancel each other out in the middle, right between them. But it's still rotating. And it constantly rotates. It's just a TV screen I'm going to show you. Only shows, or have shown you, only shows the rotation. Then it stops at a certain distance because the electric current takes over the power of what this has to make the screen turn. Anyway, I want to show that. I'm going to show this little segment and then we'll move on. So with that in mind, I want to move on and show you how the vortexing that causes that to turn. The magnet only has so much power to cause the electric current hitting that screen to rotate so much. Then the electric current takes over and stops it from rotating it, as you can see it rotating like I'm going to show you in a minute. It just stops. It can't go any farther. I get closer, it turns so far, but that's as far. And if it goes black and white, because it takes all the color out of it. It no longer has color. The TV can no longer discern. The magnet's overridden it. But it's rotating, but it's just not so powerful that it can make the box here just keep twisting. It just twists it to a certain point, and the electric current has enough power to stop it right there, at that distance. Whether it be south or north. If you see, it just stays turned. But anyway, I'm going to show you now the comparison between the vortexing of a magnet and the vortexing of water to what this is doing. It's not just sitting here. There's a vortex going on, and it doesn't just stop. It's just that the TV can't show the continuous rotation of it. It stops it there because the electric current is more powerful than the magnetic field of the magnet. And we'll move on and show you some of that. Now I'm going to show you how this vortexing with this little vortex machine. See the vortex coming down? There it goes. Get a little good vortex going. You see it? Now I'm going to show you how this correlates to a magnetic field, but looking at it from up here. And I'm going to do it in both directions, from north and south. And we'll do that. Okay, in this clip, what you're looking at, on the left, I'm taking the south side of the magnet and facing it to the TV screen. So the vortex is twisting over the top to the left. Over the top to the left, like the water is on the right. It's going over the top to the left. Now, in this next one, we're going to look at the magnet turn the other way, with the north towards the TV. So here the south is towards us, and the north is to the TV, and it's vortexing the opposite way, over the top to the right. So that's the difference in the ends, but the magnet itself is still rotating in one direction, like I showed you. Now here I'm showing, I've turned it on its side, but I've got both vortexes facing each other, but they're going the same direction, away from us on top. So that means the south is to the right and the north is to the left if you're looking at the magnet from the side. And if you turned it the other way, the top would be coming towards us. But the top is going away from us, and the north is to the left, the south to the right. Like I said, all magnets I've ever investigated, this is the way they work. And I don't know why all of them do this. If you find one that's opposite, let me know. Okay, I've got the TV screen here, and over here what I've got is my microwave transformer. I've taken away the secondary coil, and I've wound my own secondary coil onto it. And you may have seen this in other demonstrations and experiments that I've shown. I'm going to use this far side electrical output from the output of this secondary coil. The AC will be 23.5 volts, and the DC will be 20.8. What I'm going to show you is a difference in how AC and DC from an electric current work with the magnetic field going through this coil, which is wound around this pipe with a steel bolt in it. The coil is wound around this way, but it depends on how I run the current through it on DC. AC, it doesn't matter. AC, it just jerks back and forth. If I put this up here, just back and forth each way. But what I want to show you is the end of this bolt is about the same size as this 1-inch magnet, real close. So the point of contact with what the magnet does and what this current's going to do is about the same. But I'm going to show you the difference in how an electric current moves in a magnetic field, electromagnetic field, as opposed to what a magnet does and the electric current between AC and DC from a power source. And we'll move on. Okay, remember the magnet, the blue side south, twists it to the left. But notice how it holds the screen steady. It holds the box steady to the left, towards me, or to your left. And if I turn it around, it'll hold it to the right, steady. See, there's no movement. If I don't move, it doesn't move. Okay, it's pretty steady. It's a constant flow like the vortex I showed you with the water. It's just constant flow. But it holds up. The electric current in the TV is battling it, so it just holds there. What I want to show you now is with the transformer, I'm going to hook it up AC, which is going to pulse back and forth 60 times a second. And we're at 23 volts. Now watch what the box does when it comes back on here. And I've got this wire wound around this PVC plastic with a steel bolt all the way through it. It's wound around this way, and I'm not sure which way I'm hooked up, but it don't matter AC, it's going to go back and forth. So it's going to put a magnetic field out just like the magnet, but it's going to pulse because it's an electric current, it's not a magnet. And here we go. You see how the box just shakes? Left, right, left, right, left, right. It's going back and forth with the current. And I'll do it again. It just shakes. So now what I'm going to do is unplug this from the AC, the coil, and I'm going to plug in my DC rectifier. What this does is it takes the AC back and forth and it rectifies it. All the pushes will go out one side and all the pulls will go in the other side. So it's still going to pulse, but it's not like the AC back and forth. It's going to pulse in one direction. So the box is going to jerk this way, like one direction. And it depends on which way I plug it in, which way I energize the coil, winding this way or winding the other way with the magnetic field. And I'll show you that. So I'm plugged in DC, out of the AC into the rectifier DC, and I'll put it up there and watch. See, it pulses to the right. It goes over, but it goes back and forth over. It stays over, but it's not constant and continuous like the magnet is on the north side. See how slow? It just stays there. It stays. That is like the vortex in the water. It just stays there. There's no pulsing. But when I do it with DC, it pulses back and forth. It jerks. Then let me switch the cord, and I'll swap it around the other way, and watch, it's going to jerk to the left. Let the TV come back on, and it'll jerk this way, towards me, to your left. If you see that. Every time I energize this coil, it's rotating that way, but it still has a pulse even though it's DC. And that's like the south side of the magnet. But if you notice, the magnet doesn't pulse. It's constant and continuous. So that rotation is like the vortex with the water. It's just constant and continuous. It's just the TV, the electronics in the TV stops it at a certain point, but they balance out. There's a balance. To the left, or with the north there, to the right. So they balance out. So now we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you what a DC current does from a battery. And we'll check that out. Okay, now I've got a 12-volt battery out of a lawnmower. Not a whole lot of cranking amps. I'm not sure what the amps are, but it's just a 12-volt battery. And I'm going to hook it up with my coil. And it's DC, if you should know. And watch what this does with DC straight from the battery. And it does a lot like the magnet does. if you see that. Now, it twisted it to the right, like the north of this magnet, but it held it steady, like the magnet does. Notice how the magnet holds it steady, and it distorts it more. This magnet has more power than that DC. But let me do that again on the north. And notice how it just holds it there. See how it holds it? It doesn't move like the AC or the rectified AC into DC did, how it jerked. AC jerks, the DC rectified from AC kind of jerked in one direction. I'm going to reverse this, and I'm going to run the juice the other way through the coil, and we'll twist it to the left. And let the TV come back on. Sorry. And it's on. And now it twists it to the left, if you notice. And it holds it there. And I'll run the magnet again, just to show you. If I put the south side of the magnet to the screen, it does the same thing, but it distorts it more, twists it even more. Anyway, so DC current acts more like a magnet than AC can, even when AC is rectified into DC, because it's pulsing more. So that's what this was. Show you that DC is direct from a battery. Direct DC is more like a magnet than AC can be. And we'll move on. So in conclusion, what I ask is, how does this little magnet, or any magnet, where does it store the energy? Where does that stored energy come from? It's not stored, it's happening to it all the time. It's gravity being accelerated through it in one direction. I'm telling you, or it wouldn't be able to do that. I'm Moby telling you, on either side. It's like a DC battery. That's stored energy. We know how it got there. We know how we're storing it. We know how it's released, or I do. But this, there's no wires connected to it. You don't have to charge it. It doesn't run down. You know, this does never run down. It will do this for thousands of years. That strong, constantly, forever. So where does that energy come from? If you take my theory seriously, I have so many ways to adapt this, my theory, to how this works into several devices and several things to save money, make money, save the environment, many things. I just don't have the capital to finance it myself. So think about it. Where does this thing get its energy from? It's not coming from it, because a battery, as you saw, a DC battery, a 12-volt battery for a lawnmower, can't even put out the power this does to that TV screen through a coil, you know, and it could be the number of windings and so forth and so on, but that battery's going to run down. This does not. That energy is not stored in this magnet. It's coming from outside within, to within it, to make it do what it does. Laters.